takes us, because people still keep asking me. It's just, I believe it's going to be another group or whatever. And
can you do something online for the 3,000 other ones that showed interest initially? What can be done? Can they be handed off to somebody that has an online program?
It can.
That maybe they would specialize a little bit in helping specifically Ukrainian people?
Yeah, I think it can. It's just we have to sit down, work on this more, and make a plan.
Okay.
What I did earlier, it was more a spontaneous thing that just came from the heart, right? And I was trying to find opportunity to do it. But now I have even more experience. I know, okay, there are people with different level of English. Some of them know 2 words, and some of them have like simple grammar, and you have to combine them all together and give to both sides, like something new. And so we are working on that, and I just want to whatever happens next, I want the next ones to see the result of the first ones, and just for the simple thing, just to believe in themselves. This is really important.
While I was in Japan during those 3 months, I think you and Roman developed a friendship, close friendship, and are good friends probably for the rest of your lives as well. Good people that care about people. And what else could you tell us about your understanding or your experience about Roman and his helpfulness and what he did to solve a problem for you? And more importantly, it wasn't for you as much as it was for people you care about.
Correct. So I think I met a person who shared the same values, meaning that the first thing that was, he's a person of action, right? And this is really great because with no offense, but a lot of people talk a lot,
right?
And this is much easier,
right,
to do it than actually do something, and more than that, do something now,
right?
So we share the same values and the same vision of how it should be, and more than that, I think it's a good example. Like Roman is a good example of a person who would never, if you tell him about the craziest idea in your life,
right,
he would never look at you
like
and
you're
say,
crazy.
Hey, you're crazy.
Right.
This is not going to happen.
Right.
This is impossible.
Right.
So impossible doesn't actually even exist for him.
Right.
And this is something we shared. Like the craziest thing that you sometimes can't even not only put on a piece of paper, but just even like put those thoughts together in your mind. You just make it work. He helps you to make it work, to organize that and just to put in the right direction, right? And more than that, I think he's a good example of a person. This is to inspire someone else right now, actually, of losing a lot of things and then just getting up and trying to help others and putting others in a priority,
right?
And never giving up his promises. Like whatever he promised, that will be done regardless.
Right.
Even if the other day he will understand, hey, he's putting himself in such a bad position by doing that. A promise is a promise.
Yes.
So there are a lot of beautiful things in his personality.
Yes.
And I think it's a good example of a person creating a beautiful world by helping others. So those others not necessarily will help him back one day, but you know what? They will help some other people.
Yeah. You know, I often joke when I'm doing interviews over the last 3 years of doing interviews on YouTube, on video, about helping people with matchmaking services, and we joke about it being Danny's Matchmaking. In fact, I recently with a couple of friends, we were on the SkyTrain, and I told the guy the first time it's free, the second time it's going to be very expensive, and that had lots of views for me, for my channel, not for the big guys. But it was interesting what people find interesting. I think people would find it interesting if we talk for a minute about soulmates, or about people that come together that are connected when each of us have very hectic, busy lives. Each of us are doing things in this world, hopefully positively, to make changes in people's life. And yet we want to have different levels and different types of relationships, because we need that and we need to give it to others. So how do we do that when we are very busy and hectic? How do we set, manage expectations for people out there that are maybe as busy as we are? What do we do?
I'm still learning, honestly. But there are a couple of things that I understood for myself. First, there is nothing wrong in practically just putting that in your calendar. Some time ago, that would be too offensive for me, meaning that I would ask a person, don't you remember about me? Am I not that important? You know, like, you don't have to put in the calendar. But actually, if you have a lot of tasks and everything, that helps a lot. It's just, you know, tips and tricks I would share.
Right.
This is what I do right now. I'm like, in between this, I will fit, let's say, Roman, and have a conversation with him, a lunch with him, a coffee with him, a walk with him, doesn't matter what. And it just helps you to organize your day.
Yes.
Second thing, you know what? There are sometimes periods of life when we do not communicate to someone who is actually really important to us.
Yes.
And you don't have to panic.
Breathe.
You have to know if you have strong relationships and connection enough, you know they are there. And you are there for them.
Yeah.
You might not even talk to each other. Let's say you are in different countries or whatever, and for a couple of months or something. And for someone, that would be like, everything is lost. Nothing is lost. Whenever you meet up again, you feel you've been there all the time,
right,
both of you, and for each of you, and you just have to have that peace sometimes and trust the other person, and if it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Yeah, I think that is such a good word, because I think the common human things that all of us go through is wanting to love and be loved, and very rarely in life does it happen in an instant or in a vacuum of some difficult days and times and moments and stretching, because two people come together and there's something there, but it can't be fully defined. Something special, it feels good, but there's so much more to learn about each other. And there's a process that requires some time, I think, in my experience anyway, of figuring out how to make life work so that the two people involved can both be glad they are involved at a special level. It takes time, it takes understanding, it takes what Anna just said, I agree with, the willingness to have in between times of solitude, of silence, of alone, of other activities, without unnecessary fears or jumping to conclusions. I've gone through this. It's been part of some of my past experience in relations, and so I'm not looking for perfection in another person, and they can't be in me, because they're definitely not going to find it. But when we find a special person in our life and are willing to spend the time getting to know them, focusing on understanding them better than they focusing on understanding us, they will take an interest in us. And they start asking the questions about the things we'd really like to talk about, maybe found it difficult, so that we can understand each other. And so that maybe it develops into something more special and more long-lasting. So, thank you, Anna.
Can I say one more thing?
You can say whatever you want to. This is